Welcome to the Nancy Perspective, where every story is a reminder that life's hardest battles often belong to the kindest hearts. All right, okay. I am sitting here today with two women, two humans that have shifted my soul forward this year more than anyone, because I've probably been to about 6 breathwork sessions this year. Got cracked open by a good friend of mine, Nancy Miller, who all of a sudden posted this thing one day, and it was up in Hammonds Plains, about this 9D breathwork session that was being hosted by these two women, Sherry and Lana. And when I went in to dig into who they were, I was like, okay, I'll go. And I showed up, and I was, in my mind, very spiritually empowered and very confident in who I was. And I walked in, and we laid down, and we headphones on and face masks on and
eye masks. No one's doing a robbery after these. Yeah.
And I went on this journey, and I finished the journey, and I got up, and I knew I was never going to be the same again.
Amazing. That was the 5 trauma imprints.
It was. And I kept breathing them in and breathing them in. And Lana is the one that drives that 9D guide. And at the time, it was not your voice.
Yeah. So I was using the, we were doing the hands-on healing at the time.
That's right.
But then we switched it after that.
And then after, her sister Sherry, Sherry and Lana got us set up in this circle.
And get our hands on you.
Yeah, and as I sat in that circle, in my mind, you know, the ego, right? There's this ego that you sit there
We
with.
all have it from time to time.
We
all get in our heads.
That's right. And I sat there with this ego around beautiful people. Like I could just feel the vibration. And you were sharing all these wonderful stories about these highly vibrational people and all this stuff. And you got to me. And you looked at me and you said, "You're not quite on the path you want to be." It was something around the misalignment in my path. And it was something around, it literally went in my heart and went, ugh, in the best way possible.
Yeah, the best way a stabbing can be.
It was the best way a stabbing can be.
We have to kind of fall to rise sometimes.
Yeah, and so I packed up my stuff really fast. And I got in the car and I drove home, and I was like, fuck, how did she pull this out of me? And it was like the moment of, like we said when we started, fake it till you make it, called out in a way. I was like, no one's ever called me out like that before.
She didn't even know me.
I'm supposed to be in the spiritually aligned, high vibrational woman. And I was like, oh. And that was my introduction.
And you still love me, right?
Yeah. The amazing, incredible humans that have guided my path this year more than ever before, Sherry and Lana.
One of the things that's really important, Nancy, is that we be authentic to who we are.
Absolutely.
And sometimes there's parts of us that want, which is what we need to be, because that's manifesting.
That's
It's
right.
already believing you are the thing that you seek, right? So sometimes you are on the path, even though you might have been holding some pieces together with tape. They were, before they suture to, you know, get attached to you, you were still where you needed to be.
Absolutely.
You were with the high vibration people, but the hard truths are where the change happens, right? So we have to be willing to have the hard truth.
And I've never really been accused of holding back. So whatever comes into my awareness, if I don't get it out, then it's I don't feel there's something unaligned in myself. So I need, as we've learned, for those that do know me, for those that don't, I have no filter, and I'm okay with that. I don't care what other people think, as people
you don't have to like us.
No.
but it's always with love. Always with love.
Always.
If you need to hear a message and I'm pushed to give it to you, you're gonna fucking get it.
Well, it's always with love.
It is always with love.
What I want is the two of you to introduce who you are, because that is the most important thing for me, because I don't know that I've met two humans that are always from a place of love and intention.
Yeah, we're so like 432 all the way.
So tell us who you are and what you do, because we could go down a long rabbit hole before we even know.
So that's one episode.
Who you are in this moment today.
Well, I'm the oldest sister. We're known as the healing sisters. So she says that, but I'm born on leap year, so I do have an advantage.
I know.
Yeah, I was born on leap year in fairyland. Now, if that's not a magical, a magical thing, and throw that nice Pisces element into it. But for me, I'm Lana Grant. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, transformational breathwork coach, and I do facilitate 9D. I've been on my healing path and learning how to kind of harness and share what I've been gifted with for over 20 years. Yeah. And it's a journey. I mean, it is a journey. Sometimes it's the things that help us fall that show us our greatest gifts. So back in 2012 and 13, I was kind of on that path, sort of like where you were. I'm spiritually aligned. I'm doing great. I feel so good. Like everything's going good, even though my life was kind of falling apart in some ways. I had a really bad marriage, and you know, I was doing good work. I'm a recording artist, so I had like 8 albums. At that point I had like 5. And I thought everything was great, and then I got a brain tumor. The borrowed space in my brain, pituitary tumor, and everything changed. I was like, what the hell's going on here? So I credit that to the greatest gift of my life, because from that place, when you think that you're never going to be the same, maybe you won't even be around, you change everything. You throw everything out the door that you think is, you know, you just filter. You're like, that is not important to me anymore. This is important to me. I don't want to be somebody I'm not to make other people happy. I want to be authentically who I am, so I can share all of the best parts of me that align with the right vibrations around me. So I went on a journey. It was kind of like the eat, pray, love of surviving, of finding your path, and everything synced in. I found mentors. I studied every modality that you could possibly imagine. I did healings from people with South America. We had like so many things. And Sherry was on the journey with me, and we uncovered parts of ourselves that were unbelievable. So my doctor at the time said, you're going to be on medication for the rest of your life, whatever that looks like. And this thing is going to get bigger. There's no way to operate on it. So I was like, thank you for that suggestion. Appreciate it. It's borrowing space in my body like anything does, till you understand why it showed up. And that was the biggest part for me. Why is this here? Where am I misaligned? What is it showing me to get back on track? Because something got ahead of me and I wasn't listening. And finally it makes you, it will not take no for an answer for you to be in alignment. So this is what happened, and I trusted. I no longer have a brain tumor that borrowed space in my brain. My doctor doesn't understand what goes on.
Doesn't matter.
She's always been a bit of an anomaly. Which is one of the things I love about her most.
The love between the two of you.
So
just need to say that.
we have a great.
We have a good banter. We can get on each other's nerves from time to time.
Okay.
But
I'm always the one running late, and she's always the one trying to drive like a maniac to get us shut up.
I'm a bit of a time.
But but one of the best things about that journey was showing myself the trust that I have in my own body, the power that we all have to change our lives through what we have going on inside. Everything that we need to heal in our life has a solution that's already built within us. We just have to find it. And part of my journey is being able to show that I was able to do that. That means you can do it. That means you can do it. That means you can do it, whoever it is. It starts with that belief that what is that here to show me? What is that here to teach me? Where am I out of alignment? And where do I go from here? But we have to be willing to take the journey. And I'm going to be honest, Nancy. I know. Not everybody wants to take the journey. And so Sherry and I work with a lot of people. We share a lot of insights. We can feel a lot of things that maybe people don't want to know, or they want to see, or, you know, those kind of things. All you can do is lead people to water, show them a pathway that they can choose, free will. But if you're willing to look and do the hard work and see where you're maybe on the right path, but maybe just kind of walking outside your shoes a little bit, right? Sometimes it's just that. It's about being willing to give up the things that are not serving you, even though they're hard. Do the hard things to get to the things that
getting out of your comfort zone a bit and really just kind of kicking your ass.
So from that part of the journey, that's when my life really started.
That has been for me the most profound reason I've sat in your sessions, because I've been on a similar journey of different and never given up on myself. And one of the things that I think is really important, what you've said, you've got to want to do it.
You have to.
And it's hard. I don't like the word hard, but it's hard sometimes. And I can't imagine for the two of you being as intuitive as you are, knowing you feel it, but that person doesn't want to.
Sometimes it takes sharing multiple times before they're ready to see it.
That's right.
And you have to be willing to not be frustrated when people don't see it the first time, second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time. You just know that if you just stay consistent in your truth,
it'll come.
The truth can find you, and never to give up on it.
When they're ready, they're going to see it, and they may never be ready,
right.
and that's okay too.
That's okay too.
And I think
they can learn it in the next life.
But that's the thing. You will carry it with you if you do not get out of your own way and put your ass in gear. It will go through to whatever and continue to carry through until you learn your lesson. So it's our privilege to be able to share with people what we can do to help them get out of that cycle of continued challenges. And how do you get out of your way? Because we've learned a lot of lessons, and there's a lot of reasons why we've done this
together.
We embrace the struggle sometimes because and every time I feel a struggle or something that I'm like, okay, what are we supposed to learn in this moment? When you look at it instead of a panic of like, oh my gosh, this bad thing's happening, it's like, why is this being shown to me? What do I need to see in this? How am I supposed to embrace some compassion in the moment and be gentle and still lead with love through this situation and trust? Because sometimes control is the opposite of trust. And we have to be willing to let go of the reins and trust a little bit more. And it's a lesson we struggle with, even Sherry and I. There'll be times when, the structure comes into the, but you just, because you'll hit that thing and it'll be like, doesn't feel good. Then we have to go back. And you have to let go.
Or it'll seem like chaos is happening and all around you, and people will say to me like, Sherry, why are you so calm? Like, why are you not like freaking out right now? I'm like, there's nothing you can do except kind of unpack it and figure out the why and trust that it's going to be okay.
So you sit alongside of her in every journey.
Yes, I do.
And you wake everyone up differently.
And she's not sitting. She is moving around the room.
She's walking around doing her things.
Like a little ninja.
What amazes me about you is just you fully, wholeheartedly embrace you.
Yeah.
How have you gotten to that space in your life? Because there's a lot of us that have it, that intuitive feeling. And
we all have it.
We all have it.
And
yet we're afraid.
Yeah.
And I said it at the beginning, you made me really trust it. How have you gotten there?
I think ever since I was a little kid, I've always just been driven. I'm a driven person. I've been driven to
We're not normal
complete.
That way.
Like, I've got 5 degrees. I've done, I've studied everything. I've taught everything. Like I'm driven to learn and do and share and that. So no matter what, even at a young age, I just wanted to do. And so I'm not content. And which could speak volumes. Like we can unpack that another time.
But you've always been a teacher.
Yeah. So it's my privilege, like I said before, is to be able to share that information. So, when I've gone and done past life regressions to kind of look back, when I did hypnotherapy training, what is it that my purpose is on this life? And that is my entire purpose, is to share, help kind of open doors for people in their own healing. So whatever that looks like, and it's different for everyone. So, and I use it through, whether it be teaching, whether it be in my day-to-day life, whether it be my healing work. I do reflexology, Reiki, energy work,
even in our
soul
own children.
Coaching.
Even our own family.
So there's all kinds of, always learning, always expanding. And I think one of the things for me that just gets me is I will never stop learning. It doesn't matter. And it's always opening a door to something. I'll read something, I'll be like, oh, that's great. I need to learn more on that. And then I'll start that. And it could be neuro-linguistic programming. It could be frequency. It could be whatever it is. There's so many different elements and so many different opportunities in this world. And that's where Lana and I bounce off of each other so well. She's got a lot higher energy than I do, which is great.
I don't think that's the truth. I think it just displays different.
I'm more of that, like I'll contemplate more and then it'll come out
I'm the creative. I will say this.
100%.
I'm the idea generator. I've always been that way, maybe because of my music career. I always had the ideas. But Sherry and I were quantum before people knew what quantum were. Like we've always been doing wellness before it was cool. And it was, Sherry opened a wellness clinic like 15, 16 years ago with infrareds and all the stuff before even people really understood what all of that meant, right?
Wow.
So,
And it was a little bit like kind of far out there because people were maybe not ready for it then, and they're so ready for it now.
So what I find intriguing, and I don't know that I've ever said this out loud, but I'm going to say it to the both of you.
Please be real and raw with us.
So in December, at the session that I went to, I had the ultimate pleasure of meeting your father.
Oh, he's so amazing.
He's very intuitive.
He is, but I will tell you, he's also RCMP.
Yeah.
So intuitive and RCMP don't always align together.
Or it can save your life. One of those two things,
it can save your life.
Yeah.
And I will say this. So when I walked into that session, so my dad was also RCMP, as we've talked about.
Yeah.
And my dad passed away in COVID. And the moment I walked in, and like all of us, this intuitiveness has also grown in me in a way that I'm blessed for. Yeah. When I walked in, the moment I walked in, I felt my dad. My dad said to me, "Go talk to this man. He knows me." Yeah. And when I went over and had that conversation, it was affirmed that he did know me. And yet he stood up, we introduced, and we stood up and read part of his book. Yeah. And when I heard his book, I also felt what you all have gone through in your life, but still hung on to this healing side. So I feel like, and clarify if I'm wrong, but I feel like you might have been raised that way and yet not. And yet have risen regardless of your upbringing. So am I right to say that? And can you tell me like how?
So our family have always been helpers. We have always been helpers. My dad was, if there was someone in need, if there was someone, I remember like people would be without oil and my dad would be like, "Listen, we can't have this month. We got to pay for oil for people. We got to," my mom and dad would be a part of the church. My dad taught and my mom, like they were in church, Sunday schools, like they were, like spirit was always all around us. And not in a, like we weren't overly religious specifically. It was just,
did you know that? Like, did you feel that as children? Was that always like, I didn't mean to interrupt.
We were always driven. There was always love. There was always about helping. It was helping others, no matter what that help looked like. It might not be that spiritual help, but like Lana said, it might have been giving. And, to further that was mom and dad. But also when you kind of look back into our family, on my mom's side, our great-great-grandmother was a medicine witch doctor before it was cool in that Shelburne County area. And that's kind of where we didn't really connect with that till a little later as we started to really unpack what we wanted to do, because we could really feel like something was the pull towards doing something more.
Without we have no almost control over it. We just trust where it's pulling us, and it will not let it settle.
Just so grateful, unknowing why, but just very grateful because
we only found out about our roots with that within the last 10 years, I would think.
15 years,
and it was amazing to realize, like, oh my gosh, our grandmother was the healing woman of the community, and it was just made so much sense.
Ding, ding, ding.
Well, I've heard this a couple of times, right? Like I'm just trying to piece together all of who you all are.
But that was our mom's side. And then our dad's side, my grandmother, who's still,
she's with us
all
day,
the time.
All the time.
She's amazing. But she owned grocery stores in the community throughout Halifax County. And she would feed people. She would help people that they would just come in, and she was just so amazing. And our whole life was always, it's just what we knew. We just knew that we were here for a purpose, to help people, to be the best version of ourselves, to be good people, whatever that looked like for us. And it doesn't mean you're perfect people.
No, oh my God, no.
It doesn't.
But it just means ultimately you are looking at what does a greater good look like. And I think as we mature and get older, the much older one than I am.
I might still have a bit of learning.
But it means even more, because when I do something now, I balance it with is this worth my efforts, in the sense, like, am I going to give time to that? So I'll say no to a lot more things now than I used to.
I couldn't believe when you said yes.
Oh God, we're so proud of you.
No, we want to share. We're excited
because you have got amazing gifts, and you've got an amazing voice and ability to contribute to the community.
We were just talking about this on the way here. Because we talked about one of our goals with what we do is helping people see the gifts within themselves and rise up to that challenge to accept that part of themselves and then to go shine and share. There is no competition.
No, there is none.
People have to get rid of that.
Yeah, people just need to like embrace what everyone's doing. Everyone has a gift, and this world is so fucking in need of it that if we don't all rise up together, if people would get out of their own way sometimes and help lift others up, what a dynamic world we are working towards.
I wholeheartedly agree. And I think as I've met all the different healers, it's interesting for me to watch myself veer from the people who are still trying to compete. Right? Because we've got a lot of healers in this world, a lot of readers in the world, a lot of those people. And I think it's part of the journey that you go on, right? Because you start as, like I said to you, I walked in that day as this ego-driven, ready woman, like felt it in my soul. And when I say I got taken off that moment, veered from the path, but the call out is the greatest gift, because you're right, I'm still on the path.
The path brought you to that.
The path got me there.
You weren't off the path at all.
That's
you
right.
were exactly
where you're supposed to be.
But then continue to grow, because there's been this place in time where I was ego-driven. Then you get humbled, and then you get humbled again. And then you sit and say, what if we all do this together?
But everybody has their own work to do. And so not everybody's on the same timeline of doing their work, right? So the people so we've been on this journey for a long time, but I feel like there's a whole crop of people that are coming up where we were 20 years ago on that. So we have to be ready to show them how to get there, because boy, it was harder back when we were trying to
make it easier for people, right?
I think
people shouldn't have to struggle. I mean, they have to do it in their own time, in their own way. But if Lana and I can just instill one drop of ease, so 10 drops, whatever that looks like,
and have more trust. Like I remember when I trained with hypnotherapy, for example, I was a single mom, and I was like, I don't have this $20,000. I'm like, holy cow, is that going to happen? All of a sudden, I was just like, I decided to do it, and I was just going to make it work out, and it did. I don't know. Money was just like falling into me. Like I was just like, oh my God, what's happening here? And it was just made it so easy. You just have to trust and take the leap sometimes.
I think there's a trust, and I think there's one thing that I have, as I've unraveled out of control and allowed myself to just be and authentically fall into who I am, what comes to me is so much better than what I was forcing.
Yes. Oh, 100%.
What I was trying to control. Right? I remember 3 years ago, and we're getting to the end of this one, but there is going to be a continuation. We're going to do 2 parts of this. But I remember sitting on the floor and looking up above and saying, I need you to remove everything that no longer serves me.
That's one of our favorite things. It's like,
and I was left with nothing except me and my children.
Isn't that incredible, though, in its own right? It can seem fucking scary.
It was scary as fuck.
Yeah, absolutely. But isn't it incredible now when you look back and say, what my granddaughter will look at me and say, Nan, is this a good choice or a bad choice, right? And that's the kind of thing we can sit there in that same old, but wow, good for you.
Well, and the other thing, and I want to end with this, is, as you both know, fell to the ground, left me with nothing, rose, fell to the ground, rose, fell to the ground, rose, because it never ends.
I will say this, is that if you feel stuck by 4 walls and a roof that keeps you someplace you're not happy, if you're stuck because you think you're not going to be okay, if you, oh my gosh, how am I going to do that on my own? You will be okay. You will be okay. And I used to say that to myself every day, I'm okay. Even when I was going through the brain tumor thing, every day I said to myself, I'm healthy. I'm healthy. And one of the things I also want to express is that with trust, we give into trust, but we must remember with trust comes we are shown action. Trust doesn't mean we get to, today we're sitting on the couch because it's important, but trust doesn't mean you're like, okay, just like everything fall into my lap and I just want it to be amazing. And trust is like, oh, it showed me this amazing thing that I need to go learn. Oh, trust is like, I met this person and they're helping me. Like there
might be that tidbit of information
Yes.
in that. And so one of the things that we also do, because Lana and I, we can talk about this later, we have an emotion toolkit that we use with a lot of our clients and on our retreats. And one of the things is putting your hand over your heart, pressing it and saying, I'm okay. I'm safe. I'm loved. And so when life starts to kind of get to you it resets your whole nervous system. And wow, what an incredible feeling just to bring you back to center.
It is. And you know what? It's the perfect place to end this first episode because it's amazing what you say to yourself and what you become as a result of those magical words.
I think that's a great thing for us to chat about next.
Yeah.
Okay. We have some good stuff on
Pause for now, but we're back shortly.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I am back with my ladies that I have been so blessed. I heard you say I pick and choose what I want to do. And like I said, when you said yes to this, it really did fill my heart because the two of you have done so much for me. And I think the biggest thing that I've flown through as I've unraveled and let this beautiful life of witness the onion, right? The layers of the onion come
out. Love the layers.
I think one of the biggest things I want to start our conversation with today is around the stories we tell ourselves.
One of the things that's huge for us is nourishing our narrative. And I talk about that. We talk about that in our retreats and our client sessions and just general conversation, because how we speak to ourselves changes our life. I used to tell myself, as you know, if you saw episode 1, it's about, how I used to tell myself every day I was healthy.
Yes.
Even while I wasn't, I was showing my body the way.
Yes.
And so the words you say matter. They're your blueprint to your pathway forward.
What did you say about words mattering? You said something in the break that we talked about. What was it with regards to the, it took us off the path, but it was about the way you said our stories.
Or choose your own adventure. So our life is all about, we get to choose it. Yeah. So we can choose to turn the page, or we can choose to read 10 pages ahead. Yeah. And it's your choice, whichever you choose. Yeah. So it is important. Life is like a choose your own adventure book, like we used to read as kids. And it's important that you have the choice to change it, to Lana's point.
If you don't like that page, turn to another page.
Well, and how quickly we can turn to another page. Yes. Right? I think one of the things that this last couple of weeks has brought me is I've ventured back into Joe Dispenza's work. And his work is similar to what you've said, both of you. Choose your own adventure. If you can look back and focus on that past and live in that creation of the past every day, you can rewire to focus on the now and the future that you desire, right? And that involves that work, but it's choice.
I always say we have everything in us that we need to bring about the life that we are in alignment with. It just depends on what frequency you feed. So the same frequency you have sadness within you, you also have love and happiness. But where are you going to put that frequency? If you have anger, you also have the same frequency to feel gratitude. So which are you going to feed, right? I wake up every day and I'm like grateful, so grateful every day. And I'm just always like singing around the house or however I want to do it. I just want to feed the frequencies that are going to nourish my life. But so if the words you're saying, look at yourself. If the one thing that we could tell people is that if things aren't going your way, if your life is you're feeling like it's kind of in the shitter, you know what I'm saying? Like we all get there. If you're feeling stuck, how are you communicating to yourself? Are you reinforcing that place? Are you saying like my life sucks, or like, oh, this is shitty, like I'm stuck with this person, or I'm everything bad happens to me, or I'm never gonna get well, I'm just so unlucky. Like think about how you, what are you feeling?
Your brain is just gonna be like, oh yeah, you're unlucky, guess what, I'm gonna make you trip and fall. Great, that's fantastic. Or I hate my job, well guess what, then do something about it.
And your body's a crime scene. And I know maybe it's because I work emergency.
I find this
service.
a little creepy, but I love it.
Right. It's emergency service background. But what I find is that where pain shows up or where things show up in your body is a clue. So pay attention to where it is that that it's showing up for you. And look at what that means. And then you can come to people like Sherry and I, and we can tell you what that means. Or you buy
breadcrumbs, right? Yeah, it's giving you breadcrumbs. I'm like, okay, hints. Follow that trail. And okay, if this is happening, and are you just sitting in that comfort zone of discomfort? Like, oh great, it's easy to, sit at home on the couch, or it's easy to go to job every day that you hate.
Take a pill to cover it.
Whatever it is, but it's sometimes easier than doing the work. Doing the work can fucking suck, right? And it can be fucking amazing too, right?
Time. And it is a balance because that work never ends.
Yeah, and but even a little work every single day.
Wholeheartedly
And it doesn't
agree.
have to be, oh, I'm going to change my life today. Well, I'm going to work 24 hours at it. I'm going to work 10 or 15 minutes at it today, and I'm going to work 10 or 15 minutes at it tomorrow. And all of a sudden, all of those 10 or 15 minutes all lead up to that, changing that narrative like Lana was talking about. And it shifts the dynamic in the way you talk to yourself. And all of a sudden, all of the words that you start feeding yourself, it creates exactly what that adventure you're
My
looking
teacher
for.
had taught me when with hypnotherapy I studied, she said, tell yourself a better lie till it becomes your truth.
Oh, wow.
And I loved that. And that just stuck with me because we tell ourselves so many shitty things until we believe them, and they aren't who we are. They're just something we've told ourselves. So imagine if you told yourself what you desire in life, and you told yourself that's already available to you. You're already existing in that experience. And then you just tell yourself that every day, and that becomes your truth.
The number of people that I get to do mirror work, right? Stand in front of the mirror, look at yourself, and even say the words, I'm open to giving and receiving love.
Or even just high five yourself in the mirror.
Right?
Well, that's kind of smudgy, but
I do it.
You do whatever works.
Whatever it takes.
I know. But one of the things we do as an exercise, part of with clients, is you can write like whatever you want to focus on, write it in dry erase marker. I am enough. I'm good enough. Or I love my life. Or whatever it is, you know, look at it every single day. Subconsciously, that takes it in.
Absolutely.
And all of a sudden you start to feel that way. Like, I am so happy. I am so full of love. I am light. I am good enough. I'm worthy. I'm lovable.
We take for granted, or this affirmation concept, but yet it isn't just an affirmation.
People think it's so woo-woo, but literally it's the medicine for your life.
I wholeheartedly agree.
It's tell yourself where you want to be, and then already believe it's available.
Well, and I want to kind of take this and transition it to your breath work, the 9D breath work, because I've done, as like you, I've got the past life regression, I've got the Reiki energy, I've got all of, I've done talk therapy from tapping techniques. But then I went into this breath work. And I laid down, and after one session, I could never go back to who I was. And one of the things you said to it over and over is that we don't need to know what it is to let it go.
One of the reasons I studied breathwork is because with hypnotherapy, we have to go into the root cause. We have to find it. And that's great. I love doing hypnotherapy for people. But some people didn't always want to go look at it. And they didn't want to see it. They just wanted to be rid of it. And so, and I'm not saying that both don't have value, because both have, so we don't want to always repeat things. So sometimes we want to make sure we do have awareness, but sometimes you just need to let go so you have space to get to that next level of, shifting to. But with breath work, you don't have to know what you're releasing. You trust innately the gifts and power of your body to dislodge whatever it is that is stuck within you, and you breathe it out. It's very activated. I mean, you go in there and you breathe like a motherfucking freight train.
Oh, magical. It's magical what you release.
It is.
So on this part, you don't know. And isn't it great that you don't know?
Isn't
it great?
Right? I find it's such a great thing for the people who really just don't want to know.
And what you don't see as well as what we see, because everyone is in their own journey, is you might want to laugh, you might want to cry, you might want to sit up, you might want a somatic release, whatever it is that you're feeling, you're in a safe space to do it.
So one of the interesting things with breathwork, and helps explain why they don't have to know it, is because suppressed emotions are emotions that you have not allowed to be witnessed or seen or acknowledged. And that is what it's asking for you to do, is simply allow it to be felt, seen, heard, whatever it shows up. Some people do get visions with their stuff. It's okay. But if it's suppressed, it means you haven't honored it by bearing witness to the fact that it exists, and that it's simply saying, recognize that I'm here and let me go. Recognize I'm here.
Because what will happen is we have this great way of shoving shit down into our bodies, and it will come up in other ways, in health issues. But also, you only have so many little storage zones in your body that you can shut away and lock in. And then it will pop open at the worst, most inopportune time. You'll be right in the middle of something, and then it'll be like all of a sudden, then you have to deal with it. So this allows you
to get ahead of it.
To get ahead of it, so that you're taking control of your life, so that you can make the choices that are going to be good for you.
Yeah.
What I find, and so I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about that person or that human that has gone through a lot that can't even hear those things anymore.
Yeah.
So in 2015, I was at the top of my game and ignoring everything that my body was yelling.
Yeah, sure.
Which we know is so many today.
Yes.
Right? And so we're in survival. We're feeling it. We don't know what to do with it. And we don't know how to even flip even just a little bit. So what would the two of you say to those people? Especially even with like, all I'm thinking is breath work. But what would you say?
It's a great starting point. First off is just even changing your language. Like even if you just simply started with that little bit every day, looking at just examining, maybe even writing down like, oh my God, I just said that word to myself or whatever it is. And look at how you can start shifting this. Because once you know, you cannot unknow.
I know that's
and it is the greatest unraveled mystery. So when you can't deny it, your body will continue, your mind will continue to be like, oh, I just said that word worry. I meant to say I'm excited, you know, or I didn't mean to say I'm sad. I mean, I'm just allowing my feelings to be expressed and flow. Or I'm angry. It means that I'm allowing myself to just acknowledge that I'm having that experience or feeling, you know, just in allowing different language to come in. That's a great starting point. Have that. And then that allows you to, all of a sudden your mind starts to become more open and aware to more positive things. And listen, we cannot be positive 100% of the time. It's not reality. We're meant to feel all the emotions. And that's part of the reason why we get stuck is because we're like, oh, I shouldn't be sad. I'm going to put that in a drawer. I shouldn't be angry. I put that in a drawer. No, you're allowed to feel those emotions. It's asking you to witness them in the moment.
What are you going to do with it then?
That's right.
What are you going to do with it?
How do you break it down?
And it's good. It's healthy. Anxiety is healthy. Sadness is healthy.
They're
Happiness
showing you
is healthy. So, but it's also to further to Lana's point, one thing that may happen is your body is going to continue to show you until you pay attention. So for me, for example, if I don't pay attention to my body, I'll trip. Like I'll just have a little, like just trip. And then I'll be like, oh, well, I'm clumsy, whatever. And then I'll trip again. And then if I don't pay attention, what it's going to do, then I'm going to like fall into the wall and be like, fuck, what the hell happened? And then if I'm still got what I call hub disease, head up butt, then I'll fall, right? And then, so you pay attention. So now, as soon as I trip the first time, I know it. And I'm like, okay, what just happened? So it's creating, and we talked about this earlier, awareness. What is the awareness you're creating in your body that you are now, it's like a trigger for you so that you can be in tune. Not a trigger for like, oh God, this is bad. It's a trigger for awareness. So you can then make that decision.
We have to put effort into it. We have to put effort into our life. And I recognize that effort doesn't have to be hard. It just means that you have to follow the clues, the crumbs, like Sherry said earlier. It's just, you follow them. And manifesting is about setting your intention, but also recognizing that's already currently available to you. You just are being drawn to it. Instead of chasing things, let things attract by giving it the words, the vibration, the mindset, all of those things coming together. But sometimes you have to step outside your comfort zone, Nancy, and try things like, hey, you know, breathwork might be one thing for something. Maybe it's like going with a running group. Maybe they need that somatic releasing in a different way. People experience release in a different way. Maybe it's, you know, you want to sing, there's singing groups or music, or, you know, maybe it's learning. Oh, I feel like so drawn to learn a new skill or something. Go do it. Like that's the clues that it's being given with you. It's not going to land here on your lap, just like all packaged up. Perfect. Or
like that easy button.
I know. I wish we had an easy button.
But you know what, even if we had an easy, it really does become easy without that button.
Well,
but it's still, you still have to take the action. And the action doesn't get so difficult when you
love it. Like I love my journey. I don't think I could have, through the struggles that I've had, I'm so grateful for every single thing that happened to me. I know what most people would say, oh, I'm so grateful I had a brain tumor. But it's like, I wake up every day with just like, oh, what's available? Bring me the best things available to me today. I'm so excited. So grateful.
Show me what I got.
Show me where I need to step.
You and I are the same. It's taken a long time to get there as well. But I don't know if I have gone back and healed to the age of 2. And every moment in my life has had to happen for me to get here. People look at me all the time and they're like, my kids always say, you meet people with class. And you always, and I forgive everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone I
Yeah.
forgive, because at the end of the day, it's a gift I give myself.
Oh, yes.
But
Yeah,
it's also
truth.
made me who I am.
Yeah.
And we don't forgive people to kind of allow them off the hook.
That's
we
right.
forgive to allow ourselves to be free of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, and that
Yeah.
can be big things because some people have to forgive some very difficult things.
Very difficult
Yeah.
things. But in the
And,
back of the
yeah.
Oprah magazine, I'll remember 10 years ago, I
Yeah.
opened the Oprah magazine, and at the back was a Dr. Phil article.
Yeah.
And it was about forgiveness.
Yeah.
And I remember it said, anger eats you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I closed it up and I said, fuck you, Dr. Phil. And also, not only does anger eat you, the person that you're angry with is not even fazed.
They don't know. They have no idea.
And I was like, oh, Dr. Phil.
Mm-hmm.
Buddha says it too. Buddha says it's like holding coal in your hand, wanting to throw it at somebody. Meanwhile, it's like burning into your hand.
Yeah.
And now you're just stuck with this burning hand, and the other person's dancing off into the sunset, living their best life. Because they're, you know, everybody has their own pathway. And not everybody is going to choose in this journey that we're on, in this human journey that we're on at this particular timeline, that they're going to choose the right things for that they think are the
and
right
that's
things.
okay. That's okay.
It's okay.
It's
And
okay.
I think that's been the thing. And, you know, when I sit with people with anger, and I really do whatever I can to help them move through it, or at least feel it differently, because that's another piece. We've been taught that we weren't allowed to feel those emotions.
Right. That's why they get stuck and hurt us.
Right?
Yeah.
And yet there are the opportunity that lies in that. A lot of people, you know, I talk a lot about emotions that are tied with illness, and yet that's pretty foreign to some people. Right. And, you know, but yet you both talk about it with ease.
Oh, because we've lived it. I
You've
mean,
lived
literally, that saved my life.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's great books about it. Body Keeps Score. There's all kinds of different things. Louise Hay. Like, there's all kinds of different things. Right. Like,
just a minute, kids. I'll tell you what's wrong. And they're like,
exactly.
Yeah.
But sometimes people need those little clue books to be able to say, okay, that's just where I have to put some attention to. Like, you know, if your throat is having some stuff, well, why aren't you speaking your truth?
Or your solar plexus. Or, you've got
I'm
something going on with your colon. Okay, well, what shit are you trying to tell yourself now, right? Those kind of things. And
the body is a crime scene. I'm not joking.
It really is. And
Yeah.
it's funny because I'll say to someone, you know, when I feel what's going on in their body, I'll say, what's going on here in your body? They're like, well, you don't know that. I'm like, you just feel it. I'm like, what? And then let's unpack it a little bit and find out why.
Yeah.
And it's so true. Like when you're open to understanding the why, the why.
And sometimes we just need to go to see people because we don't necessarily know how to look at our own things. And that's why I think Sherry and I love what we do, to be able to, we're not here to heal you.
No.
We are here to help you heal yourself. The activation of your own awareness, the activation of your own truth. And sometimes you just need to be able to say, like, let's set that belief aside for a second and let's really just look at what the evidence is that's presenting. Let's listen to the words that you're saying. Listen how your body's reacting. And it's not really that much of a mystery.
And maybe just take the blinders off a little bit.
And it's a beautiful gift to be able to have people go, oh my God, I've been doing that my whole life. And now I can look at it different, and my life is different. But they have to do all the work. They have to come to the awareness. We're only just kind of like holding their hands through the awakening, right? But that's one of the things is that we just allow us, you know, we're so grateful because this is the work we had to go through, and we get to help the other people go through it too.
I you know, as I sit here today with the two of you and getting to the end of our second podcast, I think what I am grateful for the two of you is that you've chosen to help others through the work. And it sounds like you were raised by helpers and have now become helpers. And that is a gift to the world. So what about those people like you and I that are sitting there feeling, have gone through the journey that they've gone through for a reason that they're ready to speak, but are also afraid to speak through their truth? What made you choose to help people, to bring this light? Like, what can we do to empower them?
Jump.
Find the people, find your group, find your community,
find your people.
Right? We create a community because we never had a community. Like we had to build one for ourselves because we're like, there's other people out there that don't have it. So we would do women's retreats. We do workshops.
I haven't been there yet.
Oh yeah, we have a great one coming up soon.
Atlantic Chiropractor.
Well, we did
Yeah.
that one.
Yes, but
the
she's
wellness.
coming to your retreat.
Yes, in
why
May.
is her, what's her name? Her name.
So Dr. Nicole Cruikshank,
That's right.
she's going to be there. Dr. Stephanie Atwater, Sherry and I are always the co-leads for the retreats, and we have Debbie Gadet, Angel, Danielle Angel Reyes Jacqueline. She's going to be there as well. We're doing a very high vibration, high frequency retreats. But these are what we had to do. We had to build a community. We build the things that we wish were available to us when we were.
Show people what's there.
Yeah. Well, I only want to build things that I want to go to.
Yeah.
And so I want to learn.
Yeah.
I want to bring people in that we can learn from, and we can share learning. And that's the thing, is that, you know, there's always ways to learn. Maybe it's not a big weekend for you if that's not in your radar, but, you know, I always say, go outside your comfort zone. Learn.
Connection.
It's the funny, you know, the word is connect for me, because you know, as you fall to the ground and you sit on the ground and you have certain people in your life and you release those people.
Yes.
What's been making me continue to grow is the people that I've met along the way.
Yes.
And
Some people will go, some people will stay.
And you let that go. And
Yes.
you let that
Let
flow,
them.
because what comes after and what flows through
We all
is
have a
something
contract.
so worth
Yeah.
doing the work.
I always say to people, when we have a contract and people come into our life for different periods of our reasons, seasons, or lifetime, right? So when you do healing, it's like you might be here and then you do the healing and you come to here. Not everybody wants to come with you, but then there's other people above you, and then you want to raise here, and those people might not, other people might not want to come up there. And so there's always shifting happening, coming and going. So don't mourn the people. But we don't mourn the people that left our lives. We celebrate the fact that they were there for that reason, season, or lifetime. And
they've created that opportunity. There might be another connection that you've met. And there's always this kind of
beautiful,
intricate type of kind of puzzle that comes out of it. And it's really beautiful.
The world is, it's, you know, that full circle. Very small moments that you're like, oh, yes.
Yeah.
There it is.
So you might need to do some solo work along the way. You might need to find some independent elements to help you individually along the way, but look for your groups. Be open to your communities that are like-minded people, because that's where you unlock codes for new things and you find your way to new kind of revelations or new opportunities. And, you know, when you came to breathwork, that opened a lot of different doors for you. You know, you met other people, you found your
like-minded
like-minded and people that I had known before, like again, the right people
reconnect
at the right time. You're like, and
Yeah.
Nancy Miller, like I want to end
Love
with
Nancy.
her,
Yeah.
right? Nancy Miller.
You should have her on as your guest. She's
I
amazing.
wholeheartedly agree because
yeah.
no matter where we go, same name.
She's a connector.
We travel
Yeah.
together, and we have been so blessed to travel together,
Yeah.
and that led me to the two of you.
Yeah. So there's always going to be that. There's always people that you meet are meant to be the connectors.
Yeah.
So there's definitely that spirit.
Yeah.
But we just
listening.
Just if you don't love your life, ask yourself why, and pay attention to that, because you're the only one that can really find that answer. So you got to go looking for it. Because if you are not happy, you are the hero you've always been waiting for. You got to go find it.
Oh wow. I feel like that is the wonderful place to end this today. Is there anything else?
Well,
you incredible ladies.
Come to one of our breathwork journeys. Find your way, you know, and you're going to be able to just kind of check it out, try new things. I mean, we work a lot in the local community, but Sherry and I both work internationally.
Okay.
So we deal with clients all over the world. And it doesn't matter where you're at. We do things online. We do things
and
in
people
person.
who are just starting out. So it's also, don't be scared.
Yeah.
Don't be scared to start. You've got to start somewhere.
Start.
So find that person that you
Yes.
connect with in some way, shape, or form. It doesn't have to be, it might not be your end person. It might be the person to start you off. But, you know, it's just taking that first step.
And we're easy to find. LanaGrant.com, Sherry Donovan.com. I mean, we make it easy.
We'll add those things in the podcast as well.
Yeah.
Ladies, from the bottom of my heart and soul and every ounce of everything that I am, this moment.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
I love your Care Bear shirt. Thanks for that.
We always
shooting Care Bear love.
Yeah.
The world needs a lot of Care Bears.
It does.
Lots
if we can all just raise a little bit of vibration to create a ripple in the world, no matter the smallest thing, creates that little ripple and share it out. Don't be afraid to share it.
Yeah, that ripple is what makes the light
We need
Yes.
more light,
We
and
need a lot of light.
Lot more light.
we have a lot of people out there that have the light, and it's time to
Time to rise
share
up.
It is
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So
Shoot
with
that Care Bear love.
ladies,
Yeah,
Care Bear
love it.
Yeah.
Mwah.
Love you both.
Thank you.
Love you.
Love you too. We're proud of you.
Thank you.